for leading the technology aspect of today's call, today's meeting. I want to welcome everybody to the general body meeting of Community Board 2. I am Lenny Singletary. I serve as the chair of Community Board 2 on the call, and I'm going to announce our secretary. And when I call your name, if you could just wave. Our secretary is Jessica Thurston. Our first vice chair is Mr. Leonard Jordan. And our second vice chair is Barbara Zala-Gringer. She's waving, you just can't see it, but she's always by our side and here to help us lead the initiatives that undertake Community Board 2. I will not introduce the respective chairs and co-chairs. What I'll do is I'll ask the respective chairs and co-chairs if you would introduce yourself and your co-chairs at the appropriate time in the agenda. So thank you. Moving on with the next item on the agenda, item number 2. Can I have an approval of tonight's agenda? Mr. Quint, can I have a second? Ms. Fibush? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes of our June 2021 meeting? Great. Are there any noted corrections or modifications? Hearing none, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain. I wasn't here, Mr. Singletary.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Any other abstentions? So moved. Next item on the agenda, we have a presentation from the New York State Independent Redistricting Commission, otherwise known as IRC. Do we have those representatives on the virtual meeting? I'm gonna say this one more time. Do we have any representatives from New York State Independent Redistricting Commission? All right, so perhaps they're running a little bit late. What I'll do is, to serve as somewhat of a filler, I'm going to move up agenda item number 6 after I know we just approved the agenda, but to serve as a little bit of a filler, let me move up agenda item number 6, which is the chairperson's report. That should give the presenters a little time to join the virtual meeting, and then we'll proceed there. I'll ask if you're not speaking, you put your phone on mute. That would be great. Phone or computer on mute. That would be great. So let me welcome everyone back. I'm glad that we were able to enjoy our summer. As you may or may not have been aware, over the summer, while we did not have a need to call a meeting of Community Board 2, there were things happening. And so one of the things I wanted to highlight is that the community boards galvanized and got together to collectively bring our voices to the state and city levels so that we can continue to have virtual meetings. There was a decision made to come out of, once we came out of emergency order, that we would go back to in-person meetings. And as many of the chairpersons of the respective community boards throughout the city, and with the help of the district managers and acting district managers, were able to make a passionate plea that some of the requirements that were needed to get back to in-person meeting, such as providing PPE, taking temperature, all those things that are required for good health and safety, weren't accessible equally throughout each respective community board. And so in light of that, we felt that it was important to communicate that. I want to commend the leadership of the state of New York that they understood that. And we are now going to continue to resume virtual meetings until January in 2022. When we get to December, we'll figure it out again if someone hasn't figured it out. But it's a chance for us to not continue to do what we've always done, but continue to evolve as a state and leaders to see that the effectiveness of these virtual meetings. So let's see what happens going forward, but I'm optimistic that the leadership will do the right thing. As we move forward in my next set of comments, we now have new board members on the community board. I want to welcome them to the community board. I ask the respective chairs and chairpersons, co-chairs, if you would, to welcome your respective new members, make them feel welcome. New board members, I encourage you to be vocal, be engaged. There is no pecking order that says if you're new, you can't speak up. Be passionate, be engaged, and make sure that you're taking your commitment and volunteer as individuals to represent your community and make all of New York better, to take it seriously and be involved and be engaged. At any time, should you have any questions for me or the board office, feel free to email us or reach out to the board office and they'll give you my contact information. And I look forward to serving with you as we continue to do the work of the people. The next item I want to mention is the fiscal year 2022 budget was enhanced by $2,500 with a contribution from Majority Leader Lori Cumbo. This is something that the council members have done for a few years now. And as a community board, it's generally appreciated. And it definitely helps with the way that we're able to provide services to the board members and the community. So I want to take the time to thank her for her contributions. The other thing I want to mention is that I will be appointing a nominating committee at our next meeting on October 13th. As you all know, this is where we go back to having a recommendation for officers for the position of chairperson, first vice chair, second vice chair, and secretary. So the nominating committee will be convened at that time. Clearly, I will be reaching out well before then. So if I call you, do not duck my calls. If I email you, please respond. You know, I'm not going to go as far as saying that Uncle Sam needs you, but Chairperson Singletary needs you. So if I reach out, please respond. Just remember that in October, we'll go back to our normal meeting schedule with the current relative dates that we're accustomed to now. So for example, the next general meeting will take place the second Wednesday of October. We made the adjustments to be respectful to the holidays and the celebrations of the different faiths, but now we're at a point where we can respect those celebrations and move back onto our normal meeting schedule. So that concludes my chairperson report. I want to make sure I have all my notes together. Oh, I do want to mention one more thing. You will notice, as many of you either read or paid attention in different news platforms, that there are public hearings that are going to take place around congestion pricing. I encourage everyone to participate, engage, have your voices heard for the public hearings. It's important that every New Yorker is engaged and participate in this opportunity to be heard. We don't want to take that for granted. You know, clearly we have our own share of transportation issues within our district. And I think this is another way to help alleviate and address what could be current concerns and even future challenges that the city and state would have to pay attention to. For those who are new and maybe not familiar with the way we work at Community Board 2, the office and certain members of the community board will have information that will pop up in the chat. Generally, Taya Muller does a fantastic job of, as one of us is speaking, putting the information in the chat. So if there's anything that's being mentioned and you don't get my comments or any other chair or co-chair comments, if you look to the chat, generally there's supporting information there. If that doesn't work and you need us to repeat something, please use the chat and we will definitely get you the information or be clear on anything that we have communicated. So now I think that concludes, matter of fact, I know that concludes my report. Let me pause again to see if the representatives from the New York State Independent Redistricting Commission are on the meeting tonight. And if you are, please announce yourself and we'll set aside for your presentation.
Singletary, I'm sorry, but we haven't been able to contact the speaker. I am going to drop the link in the chat. This is an important topic that impacts everyone.
Okay, so with that, we're going to continue to move along. But what I'd like to do at this time is I want to acknowledge the presence of our Senator Jabari Brisport. I see that Senator Brisport is on the line. Senator Brisport, I want to thank you because you have been present. You've constantly been on the line. You've always made time to come to Community Board 2. I'm sure you have representatives. I know you may not be able to make every meeting, but I want to say thank you for your commitment thus far, because you've been here in person along with members of your team. And so with that, I wanted to take a minute to see if there's any comments or anything you want to share with the community board.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll be brief. But first of all, hello, Community Board 2. Good to see you. Congrats on your return from the summer. Congrats to the new board members. And if there are any parents here, congrats on a new school year. I want to start by just talking about a little bit more about the virtual option for public meetings. Once again, thank you to community board members who stood up and advocated for it. It runs through January 15th. As you heard the chairman say, the state legislature this will be one of the first things we're discussing when we reconvene in January, about whether or not the virtual option should be made permanent. So if that is something people are interested in, I can absolutely advocate for that, and I wanted to let you know that. I also wanted to just give a heads up in case you had not been made aware already, but the eviction and foreclosure moratorium has been extended through January 15th. And again, it's an eviction and foreclosure moratorium, so you cannot be evicted, your home cannot be foreclosed on until January 15th. I encourage you, if you have not, to apply to the ERAP program if you are a renter or a landlord, to get government state funds to pay for back rent lost during COVID-19. If you are a small business owner, there are still recovery grants available to you through the state budget to use for payroll, for construction, for a variety of things, just to help you recoup from COVID-19. And if you have any issues with applying to those programs that I mentioned, or anything in general, or you don't even know who you need to talk to for what you know, for what you need, please feel free to reach out to my office. I will put my info in the chat. And oh, great, I see the ERAP program. Somebody dropped that in the chat already. And I just wanted to give a heads up that if there are any, again, parents or childcare providers listening tonight, my office has embarked on a campaign to to explore legislation regarding universal free childcare for the state of New York. I sit as the chair of the Children and Families Committee, which does a lot of childcare legislation. So this is something that we're exploring. We're doing a statewide listening tour throughout the state this fall. Today is actually Brooklyn, and I apologize for not being able to stay on for the whole meeting, but at 7 I'll be hopping off to be the virtual section of our tour. But when I put my info in the chat, if you are a parent or a child care provider interested in learning more or just sharing your thoughts, I'd be happy to hear them. So that's all I have to say, and keep on trucking, and great to see everyone.
Thank you again, Senator Brisport. Appreciate your support and participation. So with that, let me go back to the top of our agenda. Should anyone, again, representatives from New York State Independent Redistricting Commission, if you're on, please announce yourself. Great. Let's move on to the next item, agenda item number 5, committees for action. Our first committee up for action is Health, Environment, and Social Services.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brandon Smith. I'm the chair of the Health, Environment, and Social Services Committee. We do not have a vice chair, but our secretary is Jessica Thurston, and she serves also as the secretary of the board. All right, for the folks who are new, our committee typically handles stuff ranging from matters of health equity, environment, climate change, social services, sanitation. We also handle liquor licenses, so quite a wide array of stuff, and encourage everyone to become involved. We meet on the first Wednesday of each month, 6 p.m. Going into our item for action tonight, I want to note that the last meeting we had was September 1st, and we had a presentation there by Vanessa Piedra, from the director of Behavioral Health Services at the Center for Community Alternatives. This is a provider of alternatives to incarceration and substance abuse treatment located at 25 Chapel Street. They've been working since 1981, but they've been at this location in downtown Brooklyn since 1999. They have a wide range of services that involve trying to address the specific needs of the folks who get referred to them. and they even include crisis management and some very specialized services. The purpose of the application is to expand their services to cover opioid treatment. They see themselves taking on 100 additional people in the first year and 150 to 200 people after that. They came to us asking for a letter of support in this regard. We asked some questions to them about their the level of staff and their qualifications, what they plan to do with respect to security of the building. They're going to hire 2 to 3 additional staff. They're going to bring in some additional security for the building. They're really excited and interested in being involved in the community board, and they want to be responsive to any problems that might arise. It's a very positive presentation that we had with them. And after the presentation, a motion was made, seconded, and approved by a margin of 5-0-0 to approve sending a letter of support in favor of expanding the services of Center for Community Alternatives to include opioid treatment. Happy to take any questions, but that's my presentation.
Move to support the committee's recommendation. This is
Thank you.
John Doe.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate the report. I think John moved forward, but so let me officially do this. I'll entertain a motion to accept the committee's recommendation. Motion has been carried by Mr. Dew. Is there a second on the motion?
Second,
Second.
Mr. Jordan, thank you for the second. Is there any discussion on the motion from board members? Hearing none, all in favor of the committee's recommendation, either raise your hand or signal vocally, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Carolyn Hubbard Cumming Worry is opposed.
No. That's incorrect. I'm agreeing.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, a little delayed. I'm sorry. So she's in agreement. Let me just pause really slow. Is there anyone opposed? Great. Are there any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you. And can I just note, our next meeting is October the 6th, and we'll be covering storm resiliency with National Grid and Con Edison at that meeting. So if folks are interested in that and want to attend, October 6th, Wednesday, October 6th at 6 p.m., Health, Environment, Social Services Committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Next committee to report is our land use.
Thank you very much, Lanny. On behalf of Irene Jenner and Dorothy Christoffen, our co-chairs, Paul Gordon, we have with an item, a ULURP item, well, a ULURP amendment item for the Brooklyn Navy Yard. Some of you may recall we did a good-sized ULURP for the Brooklyn Navy Yard back in, was it June or July, at our last big meeting, in which the Navy Yard is expanding and doing some big work in their vacant area, well, the remaining vacant areas, which we, both our committee and the board unanimously approved. Brooklyn Navy Yard has returned for amendments because they wanted to sort of like tinkering a little bit with it to try to, and to address a couple of remaining issues. The numbers for ULURP are 210463, ZRK, and 210462ZM. And there are the two items that they have regarding mainly the signage at the Brooklyn Navy Yard and regarding the adjustments for the type of buildings. What they want to do first at the first thing they want to do is to adjust the signage. And what it is very nicely, they have is the Brooklyn Navy Yard in big letters with sort of backlighting. So at night you could really see it. And they have that at building 77, which I think most people know is the building that people enter, the public will enter, little museum type thing they have there. And that takes you into, once you're approved, to get into the Navy Yard. That one, they want to extend the line, the signage, so it'll be uniform throughout the entire Brooklyn Navy Yard. And the lighting is, there's some concern about whether it will affect people who are, residential or wherever just across the Navy Yard, but it looks very good. It should not affect, because the lighting is sort of backlit. So it looked good, and we liked that, and we approved that. And the other thing that we also approved was some, minor adjustments to the type of buildings that they will be bringing up, so that they can use what they call more open space. They're very busy trying to really use the space that they have, but they also want to do it in open space. So they're making some adjustments to some of the buildings that they're going to be building in a little new special area that we approved of, and it'll provide hopefully some more open space in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. Again, they're really getting a little tight and packed in there naturally because of the demand for use of the Brooklyn Navy Yard, but we approved that. So the committee had approved that 8-0, and we asked for the board's approval to assist the Brooklyn Navy Yard in their endeavors.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. I'll entertain a motion to accept the committee's recommendation. Ms. Zala, second, Mr. Cohen. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your hand or vote, verbalize aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Kate, are you opposed? Okay, got it. Is there anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Ms. Blunt, you're abstaining? Anyone else abstaining? Okay, great. Jessica, you got that? All right, great. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Gordon.
Sure.
Next committee to report, Transportation and Public Safety.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Sidney Meyer. I'm the chair of the Transportation Committee and Transportation and Public Safety Committee. We currently don't have a co-chair, but John Quint is the secretary, and it's been taking minutes for many years. As you know, this committee covers transportation issues, including bike lanes, bridge, Atlantic, a whole bunch of things about transportation, and the MTA and York Street Station, and we've been very busy and active over the summer. There are also public safety issues that come up constantly, as everyone is aware, and we have lots of issues coming up, and our next meeting is on October 21st, I believe, and of course it's not only York Street only, it's every station that we want to try to make, but York Street has been an issue that's been in the news in the forefront recently. So our committee had come before us a request for a text amendment concerning open streets. And I'll tell you, if you have a copy of the proposed text amendment, thank you. And the text amendment deals with the fact. Text amendment deals with issues concerning open streets and open restaurants. And what it wants to do is make some of the temporary emergency regulations that were issued on a permanent basis. And one of the issues that came up has to do with the fact that the open streets are prohibited by the text amendments And that city planning has asked that text amendments concerning zoning be amended so that they would be permitted in those areas, subject to DOT, which would get supervision's approval. And that was what the issue has to do. It has to do with amending the zoning text and changes to local law, rulemaking, design, and applications. But the issue that was before us had to do with the text amendments, which would allow for the zoning changes that would permit the open restaurants in areas where they are now prohibited, and also recognize the changes that were done. It was discussed, the committee had a lively discussion of the issue that was before us. And at the end, the committee voted to reject the text amendments. The vote was 3-4, 4 against, and 2 abstentions. So that the request to approve the changes was denied.
So does that conclude your report?
That concludes the report, and that's what the committee
Okay,
found.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the committee's recommendation.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. I don't believe we did reach a recommendation. I believe there was just a vote to support it that failed. I don't believe that we in fact adopted a resolution against it.
Well, as you know, but my position was that since we rejected it, we rejected the proposal in support. So if we rejected the proposal in support, you don't have to take a negative report that's the opposite issue.
Listen, if the committee took a vote and it didn't pass, then it failed. The recommendation is that you're not supporting the item that's before you. So if there's some ambiguity there, then we need to table this and you take it back to committee. We're not going to have the committee meeting here. So what are we doing?
The committee rejected, but vote 3, the proposal that failed was to support the text amendments. It failed on a vote 3-4, 4 against, and 2 abstentions.
So the motion didn't pass.
Correct.
Was there another motion put forth to reject the overall proposal?
No.
Okay, so then we need to table this. The committee needs to come back and make a recommendation.
Well, do we have enough time to do that?
Carol Ann, are we against the clock?
Yes, we're against the clock on this as well.
And what's the deadline for that?
I think we are on deadline at this point,
Yeah, but okay, so
like
Today, I think it's today.
today. Like today.
And just the
Hello,
point,
this is Dorothea. Can I speak now?
go ahead, Dorothea.
I'm a little confused. If they voted against it, then it seems like that was what their recommendation was, to vote against it. Or
Yeah,
am I wrong?
that's not how it works. The committee has to make an affirmative position. You don't deduce because something failed. It needs to be the affirmative. We go through this all the time. If something fails, then you put through another motion in the affirmative that it's failed, and then that's what's
Okay.
recommended.
And that wasn't done.
That's clearly
Lenny,
Yes, Mr. Quinn. So for
and
everyone's,
the-
hold on, John. For everyone's education, Mr. Quinn also serves as the parliamentarian for Community Board 2. So, Mr. Quinn.
but I'm speaking as a voter at the committee meeting.
Okay.
If you take the position that there was no recommendation by the committee, it's ultimately the board's decision. So to move it along, I would move that the board reject the proposed text amendment. And if that gets seconded and then it gets voted on, that will be the vote of the committee, which is really what we're looking to report.
I second your motion, Mr. Quinn. This is John Dew. I also want to point out that I did make a motion that we affirmatively decline the application, which was not accepted.
Okay, thank you. So in
And,
this
and
case,
also, and I don't want to make it any more confusing, but part of the discussion, this is speaking on behalf of the motion, part of the discussion was we were, and we spoke, and Carol Ann was on the call. It was unclear whether this, because it's a ULURP, it's a it's a land use matter to some extent, because zoning resolution is a land use matter, was whether there would be a separate vote or any consideration of the issue by the land use committee, by seeing today's, that land use only had a issue on the Brooklyn Navy Yard. It would see, I guess then land use either never took up the issue or deemed that whatever we did was the only action that any committee would do on the matter. And I don't know if Carlton has a
We
position.
never had that issue.
Okay,
never
never was
that-
brought to you.
It's
No.
we never dealt with that. Yeah.
all right, so we have, the motion's been properly moved and seconded. Is it, let me just officially get us into discussion. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
Yes,
Mr. Quinn?
Yeah, I would just point out, as one of the people who voted against the proposal, we thought it was too broad and had not been discussed enough. I mean, it's citywide, so we're making, I assume, and Carol Ann can tell us, we're just one of 51 voices that'll say whether we agree with what the City Planning Commission has proposed. It's not just in CB2 that they're seeking to retroactively legitimize, that's not the right word, permit the current use for restaurants to take over part of the city street as opposed to part of the city sidewalk. This only had to do with the outdoor structures or just the additional sort of open cafes, unenclosed cafes that some restaurants have put up in the curb space, on the street, on the city street as opposed to on the city sidewalk. And there was lots of discussion about whether that was fair to other businesses who don't get to use the street, but have their own storefronts. And that was part of the reason, and that was the reason that I voted against it, because I didn't think it was thought out properly. So I would urge that the board reject the proposed amendment to the zoning resolution.
All right, thank you, Mr. Quinn. Mr. Howell?
thank you. I just want to make it clear because it's sort of ambiguous that we're not really talking about all open restaurant enclosures. We're just talking about sidewalk cafes. So we're not talking about streeteries that occupy parking spots. I think the zoning text amendment is simply limited to sidewalk cafe rule consolidation within DOT.
Thank you, Brian. Mr. Flournoy?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry that the committee didn't have a second vote to disapprove this. Unfortunately, I do not know what we're talking about because I have not read the text amendment. I'm hearing different sides of what they had discussed. For me to clearly give a vote that I feel is one that is based on the facts of the amendment, I don't believe I can do that at this board meeting right now without knowing all the facts. So I don't believe we should be voting on this based on circumstances that we don't know. I haven't even read the text amendment. So how can I vote on something I haven't read?
Thanks, Bill. Anyone else with their hand raised? I don't see anyone else with their hand raised through the chat. Okay, I'm sorry. I do see.
Randy, can I say something?
Hold on for me, Esther. I want to
Okay.
go out. I want to reach out to Carolyn Hubbard Cumming and Worry.
Yes, thank you. I'm concerned because I've had complaints from many of my neighbors and also myself just walking around the neighborhood with what we're going through, both with the extensions into the sidewalks and also into the curb area. People are very concerned that this continue. It just is a blockage we don't need.
Thank you, Carolyn. Ms. Blunt?
Hi, Mr. Quinn, you could tell me if I'm wrong, but the text amendment was so vague and unclear about how the structures would even be put up, what was the standard, what's the code. I mean, they was gonna vote on something that they had really didn't know what they was voting on because it was so vague. Am I right, Mr. Quinn?
Well, I don't think it was that vague, but I'm hearing people saying, and Mr. Howell thinks it's sidewalks. I always thought that the text amendment only went to the question of roadways. So, and though I took the minutes, I don't have my, I don't have the presentation. Taya put up the link. The link that she put up was to the DOT's website on it, but there was a presentation, and my recollection, but I don't have the presentation in front of me, was that the text amendment only went to roadways and not to the sidewalk part of the street of the extension. I mean, restaurants always had the right to apply in certain areas for sidewalk cafes. And our committee hears them all the time and approves them or disapproves them. And that wouldn't change by the text amendment because it would still have to come to the committee. The zoning text amendment, I thought, dealt with roadways. And I'm looking, and I don't know if we have, and I don't have the presentation in front of me, and I don't remember, my recollection was that the presentation was made by PowerPoint, but we never had the link to it. So we only had what we saw then. So I have to say that there is a bit of confusion.
This is Sid. I thought, frankly, when they presented it, they were talking about a text amendment that would allow open streets to be in areas where it was prohibited.
Open restaurants, but
it was open, but it would be where it would be specifically previously disapproved because the zoning prohibited it. I mean, the emergency regulations that allowed it, I don't believe affected those areas where on the street portion, all right, it was prohibited by zoning regulation. I thought, and frankly, still think that this was to allow them not necessarily to do it every place, but to have the ability to go through an approval process where they could approve it either on the sidewalk or in the streets where it had been previously prohibited.
Ms. Quint?
Yes.
No, Ms. Quint.
Oh, Ms. Quint, sorry.
You know
No relation,
what?
Ms. Quint.
I think I was gonna just raise a lot of the clarifying questions too. I'm sort of stand in the group of being a little bit confused on exactly what's being proposed, and then also wanting to be clear on exactly what we're voting on. Like, is there guidance on what the structures are, how they're constructed, and if there is any kind of a problem in the neighborhood, is there a process where the community can weigh in either before, or probably not before, but if there's a problem to remove them, or is it just a free-for-all and they get approved and it's there forever regardless of the situation?
Well, no, what had been proposed was that they would do the text amendment first, and then the city council had to do some other things to approve also, the supervision and all the rules and regulations would have to come down. The full set of rules and regulations was not in front of us, and people raised
Oh.
the same similar issues that you've raised here. And so that this was supposed to be only, this is only on the zoning text amendment. The
Okay,
zoning text amendment only has to do with what is permitted and what is prohibited in certain areas.
okay.
And I don't believe it had to do, the other issues which are important and were raised by the people at the committee were the issues of size, who supervised, the Department of Buildings and everything else. And some of that is in here now, under the temporary emergency, it has been sort of the wild, wild west. And that the city is trying to come up with a much more fixed program of how to do this, including the text amendments that would allow it in certain areas. And then they would have to deal with moving it to DOT, which is not, that's not a zoning issue. That's not a text amendment. That's an issue that the city council will have to deal with.
Okay, so in essence, we're being asked to vote in general if we think that this is a good ongoing use of the land.
No.
Can I pop in just about a single sentence? The text amendment is mainly about removing geographic restrictions on the siting of these outdoor cafes.
Which is what I said before.
So that's it. It really, there's a lot of concern about the construction of the, I don't want to call them sheds, of the enclosures maybe, but that was not what this was all about. It's simply about the expansion of the program and also allowing DOT to take full control of all of it rather than the Department of Consumer Affairs, having it split between DOT and the Department of Consumer Affairs.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Ms. Thurston?
Thanks, Lenny. I just want to sort of simplify what it sounds like is going on. This is just to simplify the process. I believe very strongly that we should want to live in a city and advocate for a city that encourages more open spaces, safe outdoor eating, and shared use of public spaces, which I do not think should be for cars. So I want to encourage us to vote in favor of this text amendment. And if folks feel confused and don't feel like they have enough information, please consider abstaining. But I think we should move forward with the vote.
Yes,
Be aware that abstention is counted as a no vote.
Yeah,
I'm very aware. Thanks so much, Sid.
Hold on. Let me get back control of this. Mr. Duke?
Yes.
I'm sorry, John. John, before you speak, I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt. Let me remind everyone that this session is open for just board members. If you're not a board member, you don't get the opportunity to speak at this point. Yes, Mr. Duke.
Yes. We actually had to cut the presentation short based on time limitations. So we did not cover a lot of the issues. But the other point is, again, the city is coming to the community board and asking us to approve something without understanding what our issues and concerns are so that they could be addressed in the presentation. This is an ongoing issue with a number of the agencies that come before community board too. So it's unclear because the presentation did not spell out what it was intended to cover and its limitations. There are a host of issues related to what the city put in emergency. They are attempting to make this emergency permanent. As it is currently constructed, it is not clear. We don't actually know in terms of noise. There are a whole host of issues that the presenters were not able to discuss. So while this one is not as clear, I think this is an overall issue that we have to address with the city overall. Come to the community board, understand what the community board's issues are before you draft legislation asking us to approve it.
All right, I'm going to take 2 more questions from people I haven't heard from already, and then we're going to put this to a vote. Any 2 questions from individuals I've not already heard from? In that case, I'm going to go back to Mr. Howell. This is your last comment, Ms. Bryan.
Thank you. I wanted to point out, and these numbers do include both.
Brian,
series-
you have too much background noise. Are you moving or something? Because you can't really hear you.
Sorry.
All right, great. So we're going to put this to a vote. Jessica, could you read again for everyone what the motion is?
Yes, the language we have for the motion is just motion to decline the application. I'm happy to provide more context around it, though, if anyone has it.
And,
Well, it's my motion. I think it's to,
Hello?
the proposal was,
Okay, regular.
Ms. Blount, would you mind going on mute, please? Thank you. Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Quant.
yeah, it was my motion, and the motion
Yes.
was to disapprove the proposed amendments to the zoning resolution concerning open restaurants.
Sure. Okay, thank you. So I'll read through, we have to do a roll call since it's Euler, unless Caroline, that's not correct, but I think we should go through name by name.
I think given the complexity and that this should have been done at the committee level, but we're going to vote here given time. The
Yeah.
roll call vote is the most appropriate way to do it.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, I'll get started. I think I can see everyone, but I'm going to read some names that I'm pretty sure aren't here, but just in case I'm missing folks or they're on their phones. So Mr. Augustus? No, okay. Ms. Blount, how do you vote?
Sorry. So if you vote yes, you're voting against the proposal?
That's
What-
correct.
Okay, so I'm voting yes.
Okay. Ms. Karstarfin, I don't think I saw Dartrey. Okay. Ms. Chang, how do you vote? Yes. Ms. Cobb? Don't think I saw Koswa. Mr. Cohen, how do you vote?
Yeah, yes.
Ms. Cumberbatch, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Dew?
A loud yes.
Ms. Feibush?
Yes.
Mr. Ferreira?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Mr. Flanoy?
And
Did you say abstain?
yes, I said abstain.
Okay, thanks. Doreen?
Yes.
Ms. Gelbs? Mr. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison? I don't know if John is here. Okay, Mr. Howell?
Yes, these rule changes saved hundreds of jobs in our district. I'm sorry, no.
Okay.
Brian, that's it. I just need yes or no. That's it. All I need is yes or no.
Thank you.
Thanks. Mute Brian for me. Thanks.
Ms. Hubbard coming on weary.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Janner, I don't think Irene's here.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh,
Yes.
you are. Okay, great. Ms. Johnson.
Abstain.
Okay. Mr. Jordan.
I was on mute. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Lastawecki. Andrew. Okay, we'll come back. Mr. Luckett. Is Oscar here? Okay. Ms. McKnight.
No.
Okay. Ms. Medley. Mr. Meyer.
Abstain.
Ms. Morales. Ms. Masso.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Policia. I don't think I saw Cynthia. Okay. Ms. Peterson. No, okay. Ms. Quint.
Ms. Quint. Ms. Quint votes no.
Okay. Mr. Quint.
Yes.
Ms. Rezzi.
No.
Okay. Mr. Scala.
Abstain.
Okay. Mr. Singletary. Or you want me to go do last?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Dwight Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Brandon Smith.
No.
Ms. Staten. I don't think she's here. Okay. Ms. Thurston, no. Mr. Washington? Ms. Yearwood Young?
No.
Ms. Zaylor Gringer, Barbara, I saw you said something in the chat. You're voting to abstain. Okay.
Abstain. Can you hear
I
me?
can hear you. Yeah. Now, Mr. Singletary.
Abstain.
So the vote total is.
Hold on, Jessica, before
You
you do
didn't
that,
call Dorothea.
let's go back to Dorothea Thompson Manning.
Oh, I absolutely skipped you for no reason. I'm so sorry.
And
Dorothea.
then let's check back with Mr. Lastawecki.
Okay.
We can't hear you.
Yeah.
It may be helpful if you put your vote, if you care to,
Put it in the
in the
chat.
chat.
Yes.
Yes. Thanks, Dorothea. Sorry about that.
So you see Andrew's head?
No, he's not on my screen.
He's saying he's doing like this. If you can see me, he's doing like this.
Okay. Sorry,
Translate
I'll
it.
put you in the no, Andrew. Okay, well,
Jessica-
with that, we have a vote.
Well, actually,
16
Jessica, hold on for me
yeah.
1 second. Hold on.
Okay.
Mr. Cohen, you have your hand raised. You come off mute and tell us what it is you want to say.
Yes, I'd like to change my vote to no.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Ron. Now may I announce the totals?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jessica,
Okay.
you may proceed.
That's totally fine. I appreciate it because I can't always see all the squares. So we have 15 in favor of the motion, 9 against, and 6 abstentions, with 16 absences for what it's worth. So it's 15 to 9 to 6.
So it fails.
It does fail.
It fails. It doesn't pass.
Correct.
So at this point, Carol Ann, I know we're on the clock. Community Board 2 will not have a recommendation.
Would you like to take another vote the other way?
No, I don't care to.
Okay.
That's the work that should have been done at the committee. I'm not going to do it here.
And I apologize for that. We'll make sure it doesn't happen again.
No problem. We'll all get through this together. Thank you, everyone, for your participation for the Transportation Public Safety Committee report. Next committee to report, or next committee for board action, Youth Education and Cultural Affairs.
Good evening. I'm Betty Flybush. I'm the chair. Dorothy Thompson Manning is our co-chair. So we have a proposal this evening to establish a youth council for CB2. The precedent for this is that as a city agency, we know that many city agencies, as well as nonprofits, have youth councils. It's consistent with our efforts to engage more young people in civic education and public process, and also to create a pipeline for young people to eventually apply for membership on our board or maybe other boards. So that we propose recruiting approximately 4 to 6 high school and or college students who live in our district. Our committee would vet the applicants. They would serve from January through June on our committee, which is the Youth Education Cultural Affairs. And the requirement would be, in addition to attending our committee, they would choose one other committee that they should go to at least once, because they might have passionate ideas about things such as transportation or land use. So we want them to see that committee, and they should also attend the full committee meeting, one. And it would culminate in June with submission of a recommendation that would be aligned to the statement for district needs that could be helpful as the whole board crafts the submission to the city in that regard. So we're excited to move forward. We've talked a lot about how to engage young people in a meaningful way with the real work that adults do. So with that, are there any questions or discussion, I would say?
Thank you, Betty, for the report. I'll entertain a motion to accept the committee's recommendation. Ms. Thurston. can I
I
get a
move to accept.
Second, Mr. Carlton. Is there any discussion on the motion? Ms. Quinn.
I just had a question. I think it's fantastic, first of all, so thank you. And you said it's a pilot. Would CB2 be piloting this citywide? Just wanted to understand that piece.
It's my understanding that other community boards actually do have, a few of them have youth councils, so we wouldn't be the first. But we've always talked about how do we get young people more involved. So we look forward to pursuing this. And then if there are issues with it, in next year's iteration, we could do it differently if needed.
I mean, I have high schoolers and lead a Girl Scout troop, and I think it's fantastic.
Great. Thank you.
I think this is going to be very good, get young folks involved, so I hope we can pass it.
Mr. Jordan?
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions, Mrs. Fibush. First of all, so your committee is going to take care of all the administrative work for this youth council?
Our committee will vet the resumes. Some of the work will be done by the staff in the office. Our staff representative to our committee is Taya. And I asked her, how that would affect her workflow, in the office and so on. And she felt it was doable.
Okay, and do we have to be in contact with the school, with the principal or something like that afterwards?
Yeah.
Who will be writing up those reports? Your committee?
We're working with Taya on that. The outreach to the principals and the guidance counselors, the key people in the schools.
Okay, I was just thinking about, I think it's a great idea. I just think about what would be the additional workload to the staff, in the office. And you'll be vetting doing the.
Yeah, our committee
Yeah,
would vet the applications. Mhm.
So let me just say this,
Thank you.
as the chair that's in the seat voted, thanks to the members of the board, on the workflow and how this collaboration works between the office and the committee is yet to be determined. We want to do what is going to be in the best interest of this initiative, because I think it's a wonderful idea, but we'll vet the proper way to do the workflow once the office is that fully staffed.
Sounds good.
Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the committee's recommendation? Either raise
Aye.
your hand or verbalize aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone who is opposed? Are there any abstentions? The motion passes. Thank you, Betty, and your committee, and Ms. Thompson.
Thank you, everyone. Okay.
We've already completed agenda item number 6. So let's move on to agenda item number 7, the district office report. I turn it over to Carol Ann Church.
Hello, good night again, everyone. Just wanted to say as well, welcome back from the summer. As you know, Tia and I have lost our co-worker, Gustavo, as he's moved on to brighter days, we hope. He was accepted as an urban fellow with the New York City Department of Citywide Administrative Services, better known as DCAS program. So he's going to be rotating to various city agencies. We'll miss his thoughtfulness and his cheerfulness. It was really a pleasure to work around him. So what that means is that Taya and I are doing a lot, but we're keeping the ship afloat. So if your emails or phone calls are we're a little slow in responding, please understand that we're doing the best we can, but there are only 2 of us right now. So September's been kind of busy for us with the borough consultations with the various city agencies. They're all-day consultations, and Taya has been doing a good job of sending out the updates as they come. And speaking of that, if you have not yet signed up for the sessions from the Department of City Planning on how to craft district need statements and how to select your budget priorities and how to make them better, because every year it should be our goal to have an improved statement and priority listing. The last session is tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. to 11. We encourage you, if you have the time, to please join the session. It's really helpful. And that said, we have the district office report. You get an idea. I think it really represents about 90% of what we do. There are things that don't make it into the numbers because we get stuff within our personal emails, but this is generally a synopsis of the things that are going into the general box. We get all kinds of complaints. I want to encourage members of the board, if you can, for stuff like trash pickup, please call 311. It's really helpful because we have to make that phone call, and it's not really much different. And we also get lots of calls for persons who seem like they're in need of help on the street. A 311 call is the fastest way to get them assistance. The provider should respond within 2 hours. In my personal experience of calling, it's faster, and they call you back to give you an update. So 311 is also a great way of getting the most basic complaints or issues resolved. That said, we are really a constituent service office at the end of the day. So any complex issues, please reach out to us. That's what we're there for. And that's my report for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Just on a different note, as Caroline mentioned, we wish Gustavo well in his future endeavors. The Finance and Personnel Committee, we met last week, and we have already drafted the job descriptions to be ready to post for the vacancy at district manager and the vacancy for the position that Gustavo held, which was community associate. And so those positions are ready to be posted. We're actively working with Borough Hall to get some minor clarification, and then Borough Hall will help us post the positions, and will follow the guidelines of the city of New York. And so just to want everybody to know that we hope to have those positions filled by the end of the year, but we hope to engage with the interview process as soon as possible. I believe I see a question from NBlackshear. Nan, you're scheduled to speak later, but if you have a question,
Yes.
the floor is yours.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Actually, the question was at Caroline. Caroline, in your report, you mentioned the DCP session on statement of needs and budget priorities. Do you know whether they are recording sessions? And if so, is there a possibility that Board 2 can have those sessions, those recordings, so that it can be sent to each community board member for them to access for those who cannot make the 9:30 a.m. class?
So I guess, Nan, hold on, Caroline, before you respond. Nan, isn't there a standard structure for how that works? I mean, once they take the recordings, don't they post them out for anyone in the public realm to see?
I'm not sure about DCP. I know what we do, and I would think in terms of how the city is very transparent that would be the case. But I would, just to be on the safe side, ask, and maybe, I know for our office, we post a lot of our meetings on YouTube for the public to see. So
same as we do at CB2, we do the same.
So, I would double check with DCP in regards to that, just in case board members who weren't able to attend those sessions can see those sessions at their leisure.
All right, so we follow up.
There was an earlier session. I go tomorrow morning, and she says, no, they're not being recorded. Request was made and request was denied.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Caroline on the report for the district office? Mr. Flanoy, you have a question?
No, sir. I attended two of the sessions, and neither one were recorded, but they will send us notes.
Any other questions for the district office? All right, great. Thank you, Caroline and Taya. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
So we're up to item number 8 is where we get reports and updates from our elected dignitaries and their designees. Again, we're on a virtual meeting, so it's hard to necessarily know who's on. So I would ask if you are a elected official, and I didn't get a chance to acknowledge you earlier, and if you are a designee or a representative from an office, if you would identify yourself in the chat, and then we'll call you based on who's in the chat, and we can hear your updates and your reports. First up is JWatkins, representing the Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez.
Apologies, Chair Singletary. He was just here. We might have just lost him.
Okay, we'll move on to any other elected officials or dignitaries that are representing any elected officials. NBlackshear, representing the Brooklyn Borough President.
Good evening, everyone. My apologies, I had to turn my mic on, back on. Hello, everyone. In terms of things to, first, I just need to say congratulations to CB2 on voting on your youth council. I was so happy to see that. I had my video off. You would have seen me applauding on the side because I had just spoken to someone else, not on board 2, but somewhere else, about how there needs to be more youth engagement and civic engagement and on a community board level. So congratulations, kudos to the committee. Well, folks, I don't know whether you realize it, but the Atlantic Antic is back, and it's taking place this October 3rd, that's this Sunday, from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Your borough president is proud to make that announcement. He sent out e-blasts about this being their 46th annual festival. And it takes place as usual between 4th and Hicks Street. And just to let you know, the Antic is the oldest and longest running street festival in Brooklyn. And of course, it will have a lot of the usual every year. And I think this year they're going to even have the circus. So it might be worth everybody's time to check it out. And if you do attend, please feel free to visit the Borough President's Table, which is located, as usual, near Court and Atlantic. I look forward to seeing you. I will be there as usual. But if you want more details, particularly about the COVID-19 guidance, go to atlanticav.org/Atlantic-Antic/about the antics / Hopefully Taya will put that in the chat. Also, just to let you know that the Brooklyn Book Festival has begun. There have been bookends events taking place, I believe, from September 26th. And they will culminate with the big festival day on October 3rd. The Children's Day will be Saturday, October 2nd, and that will be at Metro Tech. But on the 3rd, as you know, that's normally held on Borough Hall Plaza in Columbus Park. They will also have an outdoor stage at Brooklyn Law School and, of course, as usual, at St. Francis College Founders Hall. There will be no events inside Borough Hall. For more information, and by the way, they will have virtual activities that will take place later on in the evening on October 3rd, if not earlier at the Bookends event. Please go to brooklynbookfestival.org/event_type/ just go to brooklynbookfestival.org. Okay, next, I just want to let you folks know about the borough president had a webinar on August 31st. He did this in partnership with the New York City Department of Social Services. The webinar was on the New York State Emergency Rental Assistance Program for tenant associations, civic associations, faith and community leaders. If you wish to learn more, you can go to our website or you can go to YouTube, type One Brooklyn, and you will be able to see this webinar that was recorded, along with the many other various things and activities, trainings, meetings that the borough president is engaged in. On August 25th, the borough president held a press conference with CUNY, the City University of New York, to highlight their extensive cybersecurity degree program that's being offered to 10 CUNY colleges, which include community, senior, and graduate colleges. The demand for cyber and information analysts has grown as the risk of theft and misuse of sensitive information online rises. The borough president encouraged students to learn more about this rapidly evolving field and stressed the importance of building a 21st century workforce prepared to defend us against the 21st century attacks. You want to know more? Please go to our website, brooklyn-usa.org. And a hearty hello to the new community board members. Thank you.
Thank you, Nan. As always, we appreciate your support and your consistency in showing up to the meetings in person. So thank you.
Thank you.
So the next representative I see is Ms. Bello. Ms. Bello, you've been doing a fantastic job of putting your report in the chat. But just so that everyone who may not know who you are, we want to set aside this time to give you the platform to speak and give some updates. And if you just want to echo what you've already put in the chat, that's fine as well.
Ms. Bello apologizes. She had to run away, but I'm going to drop Ms. Simon's URL here.
Okay, so Ms. Bello represents Assemblywoman Joanne Simon. Are there any other elected officials that we have that have identified themselves either in the chat? Okay. Next item is our committees to report. We'll start with Economic Development and Employment.
Thank you, Chair Singletary. Bill Flournoy, Chair of the Economic Development and Employment Committee. My co-chair is Denise Peterson. Unfortunately, she's not here right now.
She's on the call. She's waving.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, we met over the summer and we discussed the district statement of needs. We came up with about 11 items that we voted on to include in the district statement of needs to the full board. The items we're looking at was the small business recovery, economic and COVID related. Okay, also we're looking at affordable rental, a commercial space, okay, for different entities out there because of what's occurred. We're also looking at financing community-based organizations also because they're front lines of what's going on out there. And also we're looking at addressing the food vending permits for food trucks. We realized that was passed, but we feel that there's some items on there that should be addressed that were not addressed, and we wanted to bring that up. And finally, we're looking at homelessness, substance abuse, and also we're also looking at mental health issues that are currently occurring throughout the district. But these are things that, because of what's going on with COVID and isolation and a couple other things that we feel should be addressed also. So basically, those are the items we're looking at. Our next meeting is going to be October 5th. One of the things we're looking at is small businesses, the fact that there's a lot of issues they have to address as far as red tape and regulations before they can actually get started. So we asked the New York City Small Business Services to present to us the Quick Start program, which is based looking to cut the red tape to help businesses open up as quickly as possible to keep their expenses as low as possible. And that's my report.
Fantastic report, Bill. I just say this as a reminder, not to the Economic and Employment Committee, but just in general, we try to have enough committees so that the information that is pertinent to the community board is covered in those respective committees. And while I appreciate the enthusiasm of all the members, let's let the committees that we have do the work that's required of them. And if there's an opportunity for us to collaborate, I think as proven through the past, we're more than happy to do joint meetings and collaborations so that it keeps an equal balance on all the committees and ones not being overloaded versus the other. So this is fantastic. Great report, Bill. I appreciate it. And so we'll move on to the next committee to report. That's Finance and Personnel.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Singletary. Hi, everybody. My name is Leonard Jordan. I'm the first vice chair, but I also chair the Finance and Personnel Committee. So I want to welcome all of our new members. Just to give you a little information about Finance and Personnel, we manage the budget for Community Board 2. We also take care of personnel issues. We're sort of like the HR for Community Board 2, as well as, the hiring and staffing. We get involved with that also. So we had our first meeting on Thursday, our fall meeting on Thursday, September 23rd. Some of the highlights were we agreed, I think Chairman Singletary had just mentioned about the posting for the 2 vacancies that we have. One is for community assistant, which was Gustavo's position, and the district manager position, which has been vacant for a few months now, matter of fact. So we thank also Taya and Carol Ann for the yeoman's, the yeoman person's work that they've been doing in the absence now of two people in the office. So after we receive verification from OMB and Borough Hall, the plan is to have the postings issued as soon as possible. The committee's next scheduled meeting is November the 18th. However, we voted to have a special meeting on October the 28th in order to determine and schedule selection interviews. We hopefully by that time we will have, I think the posting has to stay up for 21 days. So we'll schedule the interviews as soon as possible after the deadline is over. The committee also reviewed our budget reconciliation, future expenses, Zoom and technology contracts that have been a little different in the pandemic, some additional expenses. But we are certainly have decided, or will be deciding how to renew those, which ones we're going to renew, and we'll report that to the general body. Finally, the committee had decided at our May meeting not to renew our Pitney Bowes contract. And also, some of you have come to our budget meeting, which we usually have it around February for approval from the full board on our budget for the coming year. As far as postage is concerned, we always had a lot of money in postage. Actually, I think Carol Ann had initially brought that to the committee, and we had decided not to renew the contract. We don't do a lot of mailings, and if we're going to do any mailings, we're going to, we just buy stamps, from the post office. The mailings are few and far between. Mostly all of our communication is electronic. So we actually received a refund of $3,289, which will be added to our fiscal year 2022 budget. That will be, there's some paperwork that has to be done, but that will be added to our budget shortly. And I believe that is it. So thank you, Chairman Singletary, and I'm open for any questions.
Thank you for your report, Mr. Jordan. I see we have Mr. Watkins back on the phone from the District Attorney's Office.
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, we can. Hold on for me 1 second. I'm gonna come back to you, but I just wanted to tell you that we see you. Don't go anywhere. Just hold on.
All right.
All right. Let me finish with these other reports. Last committee to report, Parks and Recreation. So we're gonna excuse the Parks and Recreation Committee. The chairperson, which is Barbara Zala-Gringer, has been having some difficulties with her audio. So let me just see again. Barbara, are you able to hear us? Yeah, so she's on. She's having some difficulties with her audio, and I think her co-chair, Mr. Andrew Lastawecki, is having some difficulties as well. So we're gonna Skip, then what I would ask is if the office, if you would just please put into the chat the date of the next meeting for the Parks and Recreations Committee. And so interested parties, we encourage you to participate and go to their meeting. And you should also see it on the notice that goes out to the normal distribution. But those two chairs and co-chairs are doing an excellent job. And so thank you for your service. Now, before I move to item number 10, let me go back to item number 8 and call on Mr. Watkins to give a report representing Brooklyn DA Eric Gonzalez.
Yes, good evening, and thank you so much. I appreciate your patience running into technical issues on my side as well. Just quickly, DA Gonzalez and his team over the past several months since the spring, been incredibly busy doing numerous public engagements, including food distributions. And among other things, we just recently, 2.5 weeks ago, had a book school supply giveaway at the Brooklyn Children's Museum, where there were over 500 fully packed book packs given out to all age school groups from elementary to high schools. So we just want to get those out to people or students in our community that had a need for such supplies. As always, I refer everyone to our website, brooklynda.org. Each and every day, usually there's a press release that is going out regarding the work of the DA and his team. Recently, there have been some prosecutions of people who have been committing various types of fraud and landlords and so forth. And so please go to our website and you'll find plenty of information there. And you can click on the news tab and that will bring you down to all of the current things. Just lastly, again, the DA sends his well wishes. We look forward to people getting vaccinated. Our office we have protocols in place to keep people safe. And so this is something that's very important, very timely. That's all I have for right now. Good evening, everyone, and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Appreciate the update. And again, you're a familiar face, so we thank you for always making the time to join the meetings for Community Board 2. Appreciate you.
Chair Singletary.
Yes, Mr. Jordan.
Yeah, I just wanted, Mr. Watkins, is that your contact information? Is that your email address underneath you? You're muted.
Mr. Watkins, you're on mute.
I can't see the contact information. I'm on a little small phone, but I can give it to. I'd be happy to give it to you.
You can put it in the chat. That's fine. Okay.
Actually,
Thank you.
Actually, we have his contact information. So,
okay.
If you could,
I'll get it from. Yeah.
We could just.
Yeah, that's his personal email address.
Yeah, we'll take care of it.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'll get it to you.
Got
Thank you.
Okay.
No
Thank you.
We got it. Thanks. So thank you. The next section we have are city agency and community partners. First, I'm going to call the representatives from the Brooklyn Public Library.
Hi, yes, we're here. Sorry, just a moment. My camera is not working. Hi, I'm Bailey. I represent the Walt Whitman Library on 93 St. Edward Street. And I just wanted to do like a little quick report. Our branch is fully open. We still have our outdoor seating set up every day. And we are working with Culture Pass right now to put on a citywide book display contest that will be up. Oh, there we go. The book display contest will begin next month. And so I encourage you all to visit. Most of the libraries are participating and the theme is arts and culture. So you're going to see like a wide variety of displays. The Walt Whitman one is going to be on festivals and celebrations. So we encourage you to come out and visit us. And yeah, thank you very much. And I'll pass it off to Tracy.
Hi, this is Tracy from Clinton Hill Library, 380 Washington Avenue. We have 4 outdoor programs going on for October. We've got this coming Friday, a family festival called Songs for New York that's being done by local Clinton Hill Fort Greene artists. That's going to be Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. outside the building. Then on Monday, October 4th, it's the new rain date for our final outdoor summer concert. It's going to be LA Blacksmith and Jazz Plus from 4 to 5, Monday, October 4th. And this should be a great concert. We also have on Monday, October 4th from 11 to 12, Drag Queen Storytime. And Drag Queen Storytime will be back on Wednesday, October 13th. For those of you who don't know what Culture Pass is, you can go to the Culture Pass website, sign in with your library card, barcode, and PIN number, and get passes to a wide variety of free cultural institutions. So if you don't have a Brooklyn Public Library card, you should go into a library and get one because it will get you into a lot of different places. And now I'm going to pass it over to either Kat or Rachel.
Hi, my name is Rachel Tiemann and I'm representing the Brooklyn Heights branch. We are currently still offering lobby service out of the Center for Brooklyn History at 128 Pierpont Street as we eagerly await the opening of our new branch, hopefully later this year. That's what we're planning on. And believe you me, we're very excited to get there. In the interim, we are deeply entrenched in offering as much outreach to the community as we can. I know Ms. Blackshear mentioned the Atlantic Antic. BPL, Brooklyn Heights, will have a presence there from 12 to 4 this Sunday. The Brooklyn Book Festival, BPL is going to be having a presence there because we kind of like books. We'll also be doing a story time at the Brooklyn Bridge Park as part of their Harvest Festival on Saturday, October 23rd at 11 a.m. And we'll be at Albee Square with Brooklyn Bridge parents with a table there doing lots of crafts for the kids on Sunday, October 17th. So we are everywhere that we can possibly be in the community. And another initiative I wanted to share, there's Brooklyn Public Library's Incubator Lab, which is a program we've been implementing for a few years, where we give funding and support to branches to create innovative programming for their communities and partnerships with members of the community. This year, there was an open call for collaboration with community partners to receive potentially $10,000 to develop new ideas in partnership with the branches. Potential partners were asked to submit letters by September 20th. And I'm happy to say that Brooklyn Heights is going to try to partner with Poetic Theater Productions to potentially be selected as part of the Incubator Lab to do some creative, original theater programming that is focused on the experiences of veterans. So those are some of the things that are going on in Brooklyn Heights and BPL and beyond. And I'm going to pass it on to Kat Savage.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Bailey. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kat Savage. I'm the managing librarian of the Adams Street Library, which will be the newest library opening this fall. And further announcement will come very soon with more dates. In the meantime, in the Dumbo area, we are providing service from the annex Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 until 5. And that includes browsing and borrowing and computer use and things like that. So I'm just going to cap everything up so we can talk about, hey, what's BPL doing in general across the borough, across community board too. And hey, we're open. We are welcoming people in. You only have to wear a mask covering your nose and mouth. Otherwise, come on in, browse the collections, access computers, sign up for that library card if you don't have one. Please stop by. We also have printing on demand. Obviously, my colleagues, Tracy in particular, and Rachel as well, and Bailey and me, we all have outdoor programs as long as the weather holds. So come out and all of that. And of course, your public restroom, very important. So that's it from the Brooklyn Public Library, I believe, and thank you so much.
Thank you from the representatives for the library. As always, we appreciate your update, all of the work that you do to keep the community engaged, not only through reading and technology, but also with some of the programming that you do. So a job well done, and thank you. Next representatives, community representatives, we have the Brooklyn Navy Yard.
Thank you, Chair Singletary. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all again after the summer break. I want to talk about some programming at the yard coming up And if you stick with me to the end, I have a discount code for an event going on Saturday. I'm going to start with, some of you may have seen the vinyl wrap that is on the fence line along Flushing Avenue. That's part of our public art program. It's an installation called Atmosphere for Invention. It's an art and object walk, and it brings attention to both the history of the yard as a place, an atmosphere of invention, but also a place for innovators, entrepreneurs, manufacturers that continues to this day with our 500 plus businesses in fields as diverse as art, design, technology, biomedical sciences even. So come on down, check out the fence wrap. It starts, or you can take it either way, but it goes from Building 77 at Flushing and Vanderbilt all the way down to Wegmans. And you can walk it either way. You can walk it, you can also bike by on the Greenway. Great way to check out the yard. And there'll actually be a curator-led tour of that vinyl art wrap. And that'll be Saturday, October 9th from 11:30 to 12:30. And that's part of the Archtober programming. So you can sign up, and Carly Biso, who is our Vice President of Exhibits and Programs, will walk you through along Flushing Avenue and explain the background to the vinyl wraps and also the whole idea of atmosphere for invention. Whether you come down for the tour itself or just anytime you want to come down and see the wrap, you could stop at Building 77. Jalapa Jar has opened. They do Texas style breakfast tacos, which they do actually for breakfast and lunch as well. And they have their delicious fresh salsa they manufacture now at the yard, which can also be found at Wegmans. They also do online retailers, Whole Foods, some other things. So you may have seen them on our Taste of the Yard episode, our virtual series, where they did their breakfast tacos with Kings County Distillery, moonshine margaritas, which is quite a breakfast. Next, I just want to mention on Saturday, October 2nd at Building 92, we have a portrait drawing workshop for kids. The link should be on our programs page, and Noelle Copeland, who's a yard artist, will be showing students kind of how to use color and composition to express themselves in portrait drawing. And that's for kids 8 plus. And finally, on the programming, I just want to mention Open House New York is coming up Saturday, October 16th and Sunday, October 17th. It's virtual this year, but also we are having events at the yard outside and some inside 92. So you can check out, things will be released on October 4th, and you can start signing up October 7th. I'll be leading 2 tours on Saturday, October 16th at 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. So if anyone wants to see me in person and have a tour of the yard, happy to have you join us for Open House New York. And then I just wanted to mention our workforce development team is still working overtime, connecting local residents with opportunities on the yard. They have 2 information sessions every Tuesday, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. It's a 15-minute webinar. And then afterwards, if you sign up, you have a one-on-one with an employment specialist. So anyone you know looking for their next employment opportunity, we can connect you with the 500 plus businesses on the yard. And it's people with all educational levels, all skill levels. So please join us, and they'll be back in person starting in the fall, and still remote, but they're making a plan to be in person. And finally, Building 92 is still open for free PCR tests. So Mondays through, actually 7 days a week, I'm sorry, for the PCR tests, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Building 92, free PCR tests. So just come on down, keep the community safe. And as promised, the discount code tomorrow, Saturday, starting at 12 o'clock if you're a VIP, 1 o'clock for the regular tickets. We have Blocktoberfest. That's a combination of a block party and Oktoberfest. There'll be over 30 breweries represented, over 60 types of local beer. There'll also be hard seltzers, hard kombucha, other non-beer options. Folks forget manufacturing, includes brewing. So we have Transmitter Brewery at the yard. But again, over 30 other breweries, including Finback, 5 Boroughs, Rockaway, Bronx Brewery, and Coney Island Brewery. Food trucks, live DJ. It's a great event. And we can put the code in the chat, but the code is BNY Block Guest. So capital BNY, capital B for block, and then capital G in guest. BNY Block Guest will get you 30% off for Saturday. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Ethan. Next community representative I see is the Red Cross.
Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Richard Morrow, and I'm the Greater New York Red Cross Community Relations Ambassador for Community Board 2. Since the remnants of Hurricane Ida arrived in the Northeast, bringing record rain and floods, the American Red Cross in Greater New York has been working tirelessly to help residents recover in New York City, on Long Island, in Westchester County, and Greenwich, Connecticut. Volunteers walk through debris-strewn neighborhoods to check on residents, providing information and cleanup kits. Trained teams offered, I got to see how this thing, oh, my computer isn't bringing it. Here we go. I think I'm here. Trained teams offered emotional support and spiritual care to those who lost belongings, homes, and loved ones. Since the storm hit in 1 September 2021, we have helped secure, now these numbers are staggering. We have helped secure refuge for 907 residents, provided 9,934 meals, distributed 4,223 cleanup kits, and 456 comfort kits, which are toiletries. We provided 1,172 healthcare, spiritual care, and emotional support contacts. We activated 428 volunteers and employees from 29 states around the country. The impact of global warming will continue to increase catastrophic environmental issues. Our website, redcross.org, through our free virtual training courses, can help you better protect your family and community. We'll be there when you need us. You need to be prepared. Please check out our website. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate the update from the Red Cross. I don't have any other, unless I miss any other representatives from the community or any city agencies in the chat. If I am missing someone, please announce yourself at this time and we'll give you the opportunity to speak. Okay, great. Moving on to agenda item number 11. Is there any other community board business? I'm not aware of anything, but if there's any topics any board members care to wish that haven't already been covered or that won't be covered at a committee meeting, please speak now.
Yeah, this is John Doe again. And I don't have any new items. I am asking that the board consider what I talked about earlier. Given that it's our role to work to support the community, and that's everybody in the community, we need to have the city agency. We need to have the city agencies reach out to the community board, given that we have the closest contact with the affected communities that they are looking to implement any kind of rules or regulations or changes. If they don't reach out to the community board, they don't have a sense of what's important to the community board, which they could easily get from the committees and the committee chairs and the like. That example today that we struggled with is simply because the agency did not reach out to the community board to ascertain what our issues were with this sidewalk cafe opening. That's quite obvious. So I would just ask that the board consider how we can improve the process that allows us to better serve the community that we are here to represent. The other item I wanted to mention is that the Delta virus has apparently morphed into a virus that, while it has similar characteristics of the Delta virus, is much more easier to transmit amongst the population. It's not yet here in the United States. It's in China. It's going to probably come here, so we should just be prepared for that. And the last item I have is I would like to add to the community list of requests that every bus shelter and receive at least 2 of the seats and a countdown clock. So that's a state entity. So my question is, can that also be included in the items that we are requesting for community benefits? Thank you.
Thanks, John. Appreciate the questions and the highlights. We'll look into the last item and get back to you with an update. Any other items for other business? Okay. I'm sorry, Carolyn, you have something you wanted to say? Carolyn, you were back on mute. You're on mute, Carolyn.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
I was just saying ditto to what John had said, and also to if there is a way we can do something about the bus stops having advertising, so you can't even see the bus coming because it's covered by the advertising.
Okay, good point. Any other business for the board?
Lenny, I have a request.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. I'm very sorry for my late arrival. I was trying for 45 minutes to get in through the calendar. I finally reached out to one of our colleagues, Esther, and she told me the same thing, which is sent. But in fact, I forgot because we went live for a while. We were on hiatus for the summer, but at least the committees were. Maybe not the exec, but I have to go in through the meeting number and the ID, which is seemingly, I'm not gonna swear by it. It seems like it's only available on the calendar. So I'm wondering if it's possible when the board sends out the invitations, they could send out the meeting number and the ID, the passcode along with the invite. So I don't have to go searching.
Okay, John, we'll look into that.
Thank you, sir.
Sure. Any other board business to discuss? Okay, we're moving on now to item number 12 is community forum. So this is where non-community board members get to speak and raise issues that may require our involvement or support. Again, I remind that if you are a non-member and you're speaking during this period, everyone is limited to 2 minutes. And so if you would just identify yourself in the chat and we'll begin to call those who wish to speak. So if you just provide your name, and if you're representing a neighborhood or a stakeholder group, if you could identify that as well, that would be helpful. All right, next item on the agenda is adjournment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. For those of you who are now home, get home safe.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Have a nice
Good
evening,
night.
everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.